na na na.
So we gotta, like we do, check the audio because Facebook doesn't give us that option to check it before we go live, which is silly, but that's all right. So, Facebook people, we are finally back in action. Going to do another episode. It's been, Colin, it will have been 2 months.
Thursday.
Yes.
Thursday, right?
Friday when it actually hits.
Friday.
When it actually hits the iTunes and Google and whatnot.
Shut the hell up, Colin. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Always trying to guess and shit. And what the hell? Do your homework, Nick.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna do an audio check back since we've got some feed on Facebook Live. So let's listen and see what it does here.
I'm always trying to guess and shit. And what the hell? Do your homework, Nick.
Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna do an audio check back. There's a little bit of a buzz there.
There is a buzz.
On Facebook Live, so let's listen and see what it does here.
I'm always trying to guess and shit. And what the hell? Do your homework, Nick.
Okay, I'm going to do an audio check back. There's a little bit of a buzz there.
There is a buzz.
On Facebook Live, so I don't know what that's about.
I'm always trying to guess and shit. And what the hell? Do your homework, Nick. I'm gonna repeat over and over, huh?
So let's see here.
Repeat over and over, huh?
Well, I'm not going to stress it because when we're talking, you can't really, you know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to thread over it. Because. Repeat over and over, huh? What's the sense
well,
of it?
I'm not going to stress it because when we're talking, you can't really, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever.
Right. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to.
It's been 2 months. Come on now.
Thread over it.
People should be glad we're back.
Mm-hmm. What's the sense of it?
I'm not going to stress it because when we're talking. I'm going to share this. I'm going to tag you too. Post. Share this. All right, I'm going to cut that feed. It's weird that we've got that weird feedback, but tell me if you. Alright, I'm gonna cut that feed. It's weird that we've got that weird feedback, but tell me if you.
You cut it off and cut it back on? What'd you do?
No, I just readjusted the volume on that. All right. I'm good. Okay.
Good?
It's all good. All right. I'm going to start the actual podcast portion.
All right, we'll cut this off. Thought maybe I had some memos I wanted to share, but I don't. So, bam.
I'm just going to pop this real quick before I do. This is Scott.
This is Colin.
And we are
Two Rational Bastards. Test. Pop, pop, pop. 1, 2, 3.
Got us. Test. There we go. Test.
Get all up on the mic.
You know, right? All right. And that buzz on Facebook, we'll figure that out another time. It may be that cable could be going out or something. I'm not sure, but it's good enough.
Is it still there?
I don't know. I haven't. Let me see. Let me see what happens here.
I don't think so.
All right. And
Yeah,
that buzz
whatever.
on Facebook, we'll figure that out. Yeah, whatever. Welcome to episode number 9 of Two Rational Bastards, broadcasting live just north of Nashville, Tennessee, in Rose Garden Studios. I'm your host, Scott.
It's Colin.
Colin. Will be actually a month by the time people, or 2 months by the time people listen to this. March 19th was our last episode.
I'm so ashamed.
Me too, man. Well, I mean, here's the thing. We don't want, because this happened at one point in the last show, right, where we had a break. And kind of
it was longer, though.
It was a longer break. I think it was like 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
But similar kind of circumstances occurred where we both had some transitional things that occurred. We still create content back and forth to one another when we talk.
Right.
But actually laying it down, getting time to be in the studio to do that. But so similar circumstances this time as well. You moved. I had some transitional things. I really started focusing back in on real estate again, and I had.
He's so happy with this new arrangement.
So, and I've been traveling and whatnot. So it's just been a minute getting resettled back in. But I think now that we're both finally settled into our transitions that we've had, we're going to be able to get back on a regular schedule. So, and you know, we've made some changes. We've talked about this over and over about the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live feed. We're no longer going to do the YouTube Live feed. We have found with our testing and whatnot, the Facebook Live does much better. What we do is pull the video down and just load it to YouTube. And we will still do some of those type of sessions like we did when we had Josh Santos on, where we had the Be Live TV, where, you know, it'd be a camera on you and a camera on me, but it's been a while, so we wanted people to see the studio again because people like that. They've requested that. We have people that like to kind of see the wide angle, so we'll eventually go back to face camera, but it's been a while. So we wanted people to see it. So
it's weird because there's been so many times that I was like, man, I just had so many things I want to talk about. But sometimes it's just good to shut the fuck up and just.
Hey, Gary, thanks for joining, brother. Thanks for
let it marinate.
Yeah.
Interrupt me again. See what happens.
I was speaking out to Gary. He said, "Hey, fellas," because, you know, it's been a while. So
how did Gary find us? This
well, he must have it to where, you know, anybody that's liked our page will get the notification that we've gone live. So in any case, yeah. So Gary, thanks, man. We're glad you're back and listen to us. Anyway, so Colin, you know, I ask this every episode. You finally watched the damn Walking Dead?
Man, I binged. Man, I'm full. Man, I was like, I don't know, like 6 episodes back, I bust that shit out in one day. I was like, next, next, okay, next. It was so fun doing that. I love that I didn't have to wait the whole week. And my mentality is some of the reasons why they're losing ratings, because a lot of people are waiting for the content to be stacked so they can watch it all at the same time. Netflix is hurting programming like that, but I don't give a damn, man. Like, that's how I do it.
Well, I think there's some validity in that statement because there's a show that my wife and I watch, Grace and Frankie. It's Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin.
What the hell is that, man?
Some
it's
old
bullshit.
It is by some old people, but we got into it, man, and we, you know, of course, they released it all at one time, the whole season, and what we found, man, is that we'll watch 4 or 5 episodes at a time, and then you're done. So there's a cool thing about that, because then you can see the whole season. But then once you're done, you're like, you have to wait a whole another year for it.
Right.
But I'm with you there. It's hard for me because I'm and I know you're a huge fan of Walking Dead as well. But I can't wait. I don't see how you have the patience. I have to. I mean, it's on, and even if I miss the I always DVR it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I miss that actual hour when it aired, I watch it that night. I can't
Yeah.
wait till the next
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
Well, because people will post something, I'll hear, and I don't want to hear it, man. So
Well, what I hate is I also watch. I used to before I started binging, but I also like that Talking Dead, which
Yeah.
is the show that comes on
Yes.
after, and they kind of do like little game show type of thing, and it makes the episode more entertaining.
Yeah.
Because you get little backstories on some of the sites that they use, and oh, this is the 15th time we've used this, and you're like, oh wow, it looks totally different.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like just binging, my endorphins get fired when I'm watching one episode and I know, oh, I get to watch the next one, and then I'm disappointed, of course, when I get to the end. And then you're just kind of like, man, was that worth it? Or
well, and I think too, what I like about that, because what I'll do leading up, because they'll start showing the previous season, when the new season comes out, I'll watch those, and they usually do a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, and I think for you, it gives congruency because you've seen the episode and you remember all the stuff from the one before. Where a week goes by, and you're like, oh man,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So I think. I mean, there's value in how you do it, but it's so hard for me, man. I can't.
And for me, I'm a YouTube guy. I go on YouTube a lot. I do a lot of my research and cross-reference with Google. But the ratings for this year is the lowest since they started the show. And the funniest thing is, I'm unconsciously biased. But yeah, I have this love of the show, and I'm like, oh come on, no, it's still really good, all right, you know. But for me, I like how psychological it is now. Like some of the ways that they interact with each other, and some of that is getting into some of that undertone stuff that is pretty much inconspicuous to us. Like if somebody comes up to you and they're using slick dickery on you, you might not notice it because it's kind of normal for people to give you their role instead of how they really are. Most people aren't super authentic when they meet you, so they give you their role. Like if you meet for instance, if you meet a salesman, he really doesn't give a fuck what your dog's name is or how cute your newborn baby is. He's trying to build rapport with you so that he can, in turn that into a sale.
Yeah.
I go downtown sometimes, and the new thing that that homeless people will do is, oh, hey, man, and they'll come up and give you a dap. And once you give that dap, that little window of rapport is when they hit you with the sale. Hey, give me $1. You know what I'm saying?
Give me $1.
Give me $1. I'm just like, oh, shit. Oh, well, here's 50 cents. No, here's $1. Damn, you got me. So you've got to be aware of what people are really trying to do with you when you're interacting with them. So with me, with The Walking Dead, man, like I'm biased. Like I like it. You know, I'm invested, and it could be a bad episode, and I might still be like, yeah, give me a dap.
Yeah. So people, they've never seen this angle before.
Yeah.
Where there's a Walking Dead poster there. It's actually a signed. A friend of mine gave it to me, which I was surprised. He's a huge Walking Dead fan, but he had it signed.
This is actually the comic the comic book version.
Yeah. So it was a limited edition, and he gave it to me. I was shocked he brought it into me one day.
That's crazy.
Wow,
I didn't even know that.
So anyway, that's framed there, so most people don't get to see that. And then, of course, behind you are superheroes, and then Blade is behind you.
Yeah, y'all seen that before in the past episodes.
So we may go with this camera angle just for the people that see live, and we've talked about what do we talk about doing here. See, we've got a nice, beautiful window here, but we have to close it because the light drowns us out.
Right, and it's a distraction.
It's a distraction. We don't want you guys looking out the window. We want you looking at Colin's beautiful bald head. But but we're gonna get
your man bun.
But we're gonna get a
like a banner
with our logo and stuff on there. So anyway, so it's just not a dead wall there. But in any case, we were so excited. I mean, we were originally going to do this on Tuesday, like we normally do. But we had some things come up, and I text Colin. I was like, dude, let's move it to Wednesday. It's like, no. It's like, I didn't want to move it either because I was so looking forward to
I was too, man.
getting back on the mic.
But I
and
feel
stuff.
like today ended up being a better day anyway.
Everything always happens for us the way it's supposed to, right? And because I think we're tuned in to the universal energy, we always tap into that. And then our energy that we have with each other, it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
I agree.
But anyway, so it's been too long. I know we've had a lot more kind of banter on the front end than we may typically have, but it's our show.
Right,
so we can kind of do it the way we want to do it. But
so what's going to happen.
Anybody that's listening on Facebook, so the last time we did a live session, we used a different app, and you could, wherever you commented, we could see that. If you comment on any of the shared stuff, because I shared it to your timeline and to mine, try, if you can, no worries, but if you can, come over to the Two Rational Bastards page and comment there, because then I can monitor and respond back. If you comment on our actual personal feeds, we may not see it till after. So if you want to interact, ask some questions or whatnot, come there, and feel free to share. If you love what we're doing, share it, right? So anyway, we always start off with a quote of the day. And this is funny. Some of the things we talked about, I pulled this quote down. Go back to any of our episodes, how much synchronicity happens between us. It's amazing. We haven't done the show in 2 months, but yet we
came in today and we were just kind of bantering back and forth. And I'm telling you, synchronicity, it happens for everybody. It's not like it's unique to us. We're not superior to anyone else's viewpoint. But when you start really tapping in to trying to stay aware of the things that are similar, I truly believe, and this is just my personal belief, I believe that when you start noticing the similarities in things that are coming down the pike in your experiences and your circumstances, that's the universe's way of saying you're on the right track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because why else would it be so similar? Why would it be a synchronicity there? And it seems like the more of those that come, I'm saying this is just for me personally, I'm not speaking for anyone, but for me personally, the more synchronicities I notice and the more I try to stay in alignment with those, the more those results end up being as I desire.
So that's interesting, and I think because if we go back to anybody that's listened and followed us from the beginning, even back to Exposing Real Estate, we talk on a lot about meditation and being tuned in.
Right.
And I think, again, like you said, there's nothing special about what we do. We just tune into the frequency, right? Because of how we meditate, we set our intentions, we're tuned into it. So our awareness is higher.
Right.
And so we're able to recognize those synchronicities and then build upon those.
Well,
because it's flowing for people all the time.
I agree.
But they're not dialed into it, right? Do you think?
And dialed in. Just to dial in a little bit more focus on what that means. That's just saying a car is crashing in front of you and you miss the pot of gold that's on the sidewalk. Not being distracted by those things that are in front of you. It might be very glamorous, and there might be something in the news that looks really appealing, but there might be a stock that you needed to be looking at, that you needed to invest in. Bitcoin.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there might be a detail that is in alignment with what your desires are that you might miss because you're rubbernecking looking at this wreck. It has nothing to do with you on the side of the road. So that's what I mean. That's what we mean when we're talking about not being tuned in. It's not, a Buddhist monk underneath the waterfall and, he comes out and now he can float. It's just paying attention to what you need to pay attention to and being able to get better at that. And now your attention is doing that more often. And you're seeing details that serve you more often.
Yeah, so that's so right on point, and this is going to come. I'll mention this now, and then maybe you'll build upon it with a comment. But okay, let's hold that because I'm going to read the quote that we do. Remind me to come back to this. I told you the observation that I had and that my son Kona had.
Yeah.
But first, let me recognize Gary Buckle says, if you go to Walker Stalker convention, you probably wouldn't think ratings are down. And Colin and I talked about this. As far as, and you're exactly right, Gary, as far as traditional Walking Dead ratings, they're a bit dipped, but they're still the #1 show.
Yeah.
But overall,
that's the funniest part.
But overall, and here's the thing: overall, ratings for all shows is down, and I think a part of that comes back to you have so many more things that are on Amazon Prime, Netflix, and all these Hulu, all these streaming things now that have caused traditional ratings to dip some. So you're exactly right, Gary. So quote of the day. And again, the synchronicity. Right?
Be aware, my coffee's kicking.
Yeah,
in.
mine too. Mine too. So, and if you can see, like under the table, our intern, with this wide angle also gives the intern. You can see the bottom half of Rex. Don't stir him, but he's down by your feet there, so you get the bottom half of him. Anyway,
and he's stinking.
Yeah, he is a little smelly today. See, I gave him a bath last week. But in any case, mistakes are almost always of a sacred nature. Never try to correct them. Let that sink in for a second, because mistakes are almost always of a sacred nature. Never try to correct them. I think many times don't we rush to try to fix that? A mistake is how you grow. Okay, let me finish this. On the contrary, rationalize them. Understand them thoroughly. After that, it would be possible for you to sublimate them. Let me read the whole thing again.
Right. I'm with you.
It's powerful because...
You're about to cry after this.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We've talked about sublimation in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This quote came into my life, and it just how it resonated.
This quote happened this morning, by the way.
Yes. And when we were talking
what
about...
I wrote down happened just a second before you started reading this.
So mistakes are almost always of a sacred nature. Never try to correct them. On the contrary, rationalize them, understand them thoroughly. After that, it will be possible for you to sublimate them. Guess who said that?
Who?
Salvador Dali.
No way. You a damn lie.
It's crazy, right?
Okay, now I want you to look at this. I don't know if you can see this, what I'm pointing at. Do you
Which
see
one?
that?
Problem solving? Is that the one?
That's the one. In a nutshell, that is kind of sort of what you just said.
Right.
And that's what I've been working on in these last 2 months. Like, getting down to the bare minimum and getting into the details instead of just putting a blurry meaning, instead of saying...
Like a blurb.
Like a blurb, yeah. Getting into the details. We say, with a broad stroke of a brush, we say, I have a problem. But what's the detail? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You said that it's what? You said it is sacred. Don't try to solve it. If you go into a math problem, you don't try to solve it until when? Until you know the equation.
Yeah.
And you don't look at homework as a bad thing. You look at it as an opportunity to apply the equation over and over and over again till you don't really know the equation, but it's a part of you. I don't have to think about the equation of 2 + 2. I know that equation. So how deep is the well on the equations you know how to apply? So when you have a problem that comes up and you avoid that problem, you're actually avoiding the opportunity to have the equation in your wheelhouse, in your toolbox. So we were talking about earlier about this guy that climbs not cliffs, but mountains. It takes...
With no equipment, right?
No equipment, freestyle. And it's hard to do it with rope and all that, but here's what he said. He lives for the moments that he gets in a spot that he does not know how to continue to move forward. Now, get this. After you reach 5 stories, that is too far to turn back. And if you're going 1,500 feet to 2,000 feet, it's going to take you an hour to an hour and a half to complete your mission. If you get to the point that you are too much into the problem and you're judging the problem, you might have an adrenaline dump and use up all your energy, get nervous, start thinking about I could die. You have to be in the moment with no bias and just think, I'm going to solve this millisecond. I'm going to solve this millisecond, not movement, but solving milliseconds. So every time you have those type of situations where you're just saying, it's just milliseconds, yes, 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 and moving forward, you're applying an equation over and over and over again. Not saying the problem is X, but saying the equation is X, and now I'm applying it. The equation is X, and now I'm applying it. If we go through life focusing on the problem and not an equation, we get consumed by the problem, then we get consumed by the adrenaline, and consumed by each circumstance not matching, not being a problem. The opportunity to apply the equation is the blessing, right?
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? It could save your life on a cliff, of course, but if you get in the habit of saying yes, I mean, I take cold showers. I don't want to take a cold shower, but every time I take a cold shower, it gives me an example of how to say yes, and then move into a circumstance to where maybe a yes will bring me wealth, like investing in whatever or starting a new venture as far as something that to make money. And I'm saying money because everybody can relate with money. Making those decisions to make yes, getting in the habit of saying yes, taking those showers. Again, I'm not going to go do the cliff thing, but whatever it is that's a challenge for you that you can say yes easily, get in the habit of that and then apply that into the other aspects of your life, whether it be jiu-jitsu. Sometimes Scott and I go out in the backyard and we play chess. We punch at each other's face. Just kidding. But whatever it is that you do that you can apply that yes to over and over that makes you slightly uncomfortable, you'll get more and more comfortable with saying yes. I'm working on doing a backflip right now. I can't tell you how much fear. I know how to do it and I've done it before. But to do that backflip, Scott, the amount of fear and all the doubt and all the stories go into your head. Oh my God, what if you break your neck? What if you stop? Blah, 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 blah. You jump, tuck, pull. Jump, tuck, pull. That's all it takes. I'll do one and then miss one with a check, with someone spotting.
Right.
And every time I go into, trying to do that, it's just more opportunity. So when I get to the point, and I'll stop rambling, but when I get to the point that I can just do a backflip, blah, 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 I will be able to say yes more often, and I can apply that to other aspects of my life.
Well, but then you're not overthinking it. So, because right now you're in this stage, so I thought about this. You talk about problem solving, how he gets to a point, he's climbing the mountain. He gets to a point, and look, you see I'm fading. You think I'm brand new at doing this podcasting stuff, this radio stuff. But he gets to a point and goes, okay, what do I do next? It's minute steps up a large mountain. So when we look at a problem, we should take the minute steps to solve the problem instead of going, okay, like when you cut the grass, you don't go, how can I finish this all right now? You got to do one strip at a time. Right. So it's the same thing. Well, you'll eventually get to that point where it's no longer the minute steps. You just know this is how I do it.
Exactly.
You don't have to think about it any longer because the equation 2 + 2 always equals 4. You're going to know that right away. It's not like, oh, I got to make sure.
A problem in your life is basically homework for the equation.
Yeah. So today, Colin, we're going to talk about something I've been kind of doing some studying going. And I had mentioned this. What did I say to you? This was a few weeks back. You'd stopped by. We were chatting. I mean, you've come by more than that. But one particular conversation we had, you sat down in here. We were talking about investments or something like that. I said, hey, the next time we do an episode, I said, I'm just going to plant this in your mind, what I want to talk about. I want to talk about unconscious bias. And you're like, Like, for you, you're like, what does that mean to me? And so I wanted you to define that for yourself and to really kind of do some research on it, too, so that we could have a conversation on it. Because unconscious bias, people are, what is that? It's kind of deep. We're going to get into that.
Well, what actually happened was I didn't know what it meant.
Oh, is that?
I never knew what the term was. It was the detail in what we were already doing and what we were already applying, which was the synchronicity that day.
Yeah. So I think it was, we've talked.
Because it's accountability.
Yeah.
It's holding yourself accountable and it's holding others accountable.
And we've talked about this in many ways, but didn't have a label for it. So I think, and that's a pretty strong I think, in my mind, a very strong label, unconscious bias. Okay, we'll get into that. But first of all, we talk about how people observe certain things and how one thing will relate to you as opposed to another person. So we're driving. This is a few weeks back. So we've got...
This is your Kona story?
This is Kona story. So we've got the one intern, Rex, down there. We're going to be getting a second. It's a female for my daughter. I think we're going to name her Chloe. Anyway, we're driving. It's a breeder that's about an hour away. And we're driving, and we're just talking about all kinds of different things. And we passed this cow pasture, beautiful pasture. And there's a bunch of cows like over here just mingling. You know, you do what they do, what cows do.
Right.
Eating, you know, kind of whatever. Then there's this one cow, like way across the pasture to where the pasture ends. There's a fence. There's a nice tree. Mm-hmm. And there's one cow all by himself over there laying under the tree.
Right.
And I go, wow, that poor cow, he's all alone. Kona turns and said, that would be me. He's like, wow, that cow has peace. That's awesome. So it's amazing to me that how our perspective, we could look at something, the exact same thing, and define it completely different.
Right.
So that very simple remark that he made really tied into the unconscious bias.
Absolutely.
Because you and I can look at the dog, you and I could look at somebody walking down the street, and our own interpretation based on our unconscious biases will determine our definition of that particular thing, right?
I love that viewpoint because that is a very personal way of looking at it that doesn't really make one viewpoint better or worse than the other. Whereas this example that I have down is it kind of pigeonholes you in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean that you think this way if you get it wrong or if you look at it a certain way, but it definitely lets you know that you are more likely to do X versus Y. So
no, what was you had something that remember?
So for you guys that are out there that hear this, when I give you this example, just pause the whatever outlet that you're using to listen to this or watch this. Just pause it for a second, think about it, even rewind it and listen to it again, and even if you need to write it down and just really think about the answer. Burp. And then
I did that too. I had to turn my mic down because I did say that.
Yeah, and then basically,
you don't have the luxury to reaching over and turn it down.
It's like I have no tools here. I'm just out here, but yeah, you just take an opportunity to really think about the answer here, but this is going to give you a little insight on where you stand in your viewpoint versus some of the stuff we're talking about. All right, so turkey and ham cost $10 a pound. If ham costs 1 pound more than turkey, how much does turkey cost? I'll repeat that. Turkey and ham cost $10 a pound. If ham costs 1 pound more than turkey, how much does the turkey cost? All right.
Yeah.
So what do you think the answer is, Scott?
So it's
turkey and ham cost 1 pound.
10
pounds. $10 a pound.
Yeah.
If I don't fuck it up. If the ham costs 1 pound more than turkey, how much does the turkey cost?
So for me, like when I originally thought that, I'm thinking turkey and ham separately.
Right.
But so, what that really means is you're talking about turkey and ham together. So together they're 10 pounds. If you separate them, they'd be 5 pounds each.
Right.
Right. Or $5 each per pound.
Right.
So you see, again, it's about perspective.
Right.
One person may see that as clumping them together. Another person may see them as two separate things.
Exactly. So the answer is 5. Most people, 50% of scholars versus students, everything, 50% got that answer wrong, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you could say got it right.
So
50%.
So That's interesting you say this, because the part of the unconscious bias thing that I wrote down was I read a research that
Before you state
Go ahead,
that,
go ahead,
before you state that, if you got that wrong, that's you using your instincts, not your
Intellect?
you're not using, you're not analyzing.
Analyzing,
it,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're not using analysis, so you're not using details. You're using your instincts. You know, you go in. Oh, I remember the time that I went in and turkey and the ham would cost the same thing.
Yeah.
You're using those bias experiences to make your analysis.
That kind of you remember though, like whenever you see those
or judgment.
Like in school, they'd give you a paper, find all of the words with E in it or something like that, and you
Right.
overlook half of them because your mind, you read it so quick. That's kind of what that is. You automatically think, well, they're two separate things, so he must be talking about, you know what I mean? Anyway, so you talked about school, and this part of my unconscious bias research that I did. And this is not anything extravagant that most people will not know, but it's interesting to me that Google did this research, and I think a lot of us have a lot of respect for Google, what they've done, right?
Yeah, of course.
So Google was founded by a small group of people that basically all went to the same type of colleges and universities, and when they were hiring people back when they first got started, they would only
just the people that went to school.
And it's not that they were trying to exclude other people, but they were just looking at, hey, this is how our mind works and how we're able to do what we're able to do. So people from these schools will naturally think the same way we do.
Right.
Well, what they found out is they started allowing people to apply and get positions within Google that went to other colleges and universities, and found when they did that, they had exponential growth in all different types of areas, because the diversity, not in skin color, but the diversity in mindset and thought.
Right.
And so what they basically, and this is not going to be any surprise, but Google spent a lot of time and money on this research to come to this answer that seems rational, seems common sense, but they said that there's been no measurable correlation of job performance on how one could do a job or not, based on what school was on their resume. So whether it's an Ivy League school or MTSU, they don't look at that anymore. They look at what mental makeup.
What are the details?
What are the details? What is their viewpoints that's going to add value to our company, as opposed to what's on paper.
So the scariest part about that statement.
That was an unconscious bias thing.
Absolutely. And the scariest part about that is that's what we do on a personal level. But with that resume, we might look over it and take a little bit of time to kind of assess, okay, yeah, whatever. But in a millisecond, when you meet someone, you put them in your in or out box based on your unconscious bias solely. So you've got to really be careful with what you're doing there, or you might be alienating someone that's of massive value to your life.
So I'm gonna put myself in a very uncomfortable situation. Okay, we talk about being transparent, but I'm gonna state some of the unconscious biases that just automatically come into my mind.
Yeah.
And this is by no way, you know me, people that know me know that
it's making me uncomfortable just thinking about
I don't need
yours,
to,
and then some of mine went in. I'm just like,
So I say this for my own, but I know for other people, I don't need to make a qualifying statement on me and how I view people. I'm very accepting. I love all. If you're kind and you're good, right? Okay. So what I'm saying here it is. I'm gonna be truthful here.
Oh,
so
boy.
So
I think I know what you're gonna say.
So no, you don't know this one.
I hope not.
So because this is based on my evidence, and I can't help it. Just is the way it is.
You gonna hold yourself accountable, Scott?
So yes. So it's my unconscious bias. Anytime I get behind the car, I don't see the occupants in that car, and I see a license plate frame that has a sorority or fraternity on it, I know that it's black people driving the car. Why in the hell are they so damn proud of their fraternity or sorority? I've never seen a white dude or white girl with their big Kappa Alpha Psi on the front and their license plate frame around the back. I'm sorry. I mean, when I see that, before I look at the occupants, I know that they're black people. So I'm sorry. When I meet an Asian person for the first time, I automatically think they got to be good at math. Why? Why do I think that? because of how we've been conditioned, right? But my evidence as far as the license plate, dude, I don't have any other evidence from what I've seen in my life, right? I mean, it just happened to me twice yesterday when him was like, damn it, it's true. I mean, for me, it is anyway. So, anyway, and I'll give you another one. We've talked about this, and this is me being transparent, and again, to hold myself accountable. And just recognizing these unconscious biases that we all have them. We can act like we don't.
Exactly.
We all have them. So anybody
and finding the ones that you have is an opportunity to kind of grow because you're at least not making an excuse for it.
Well, and laugh at yourself too for even having it. Like, that's such a stupid thought.
Right.
So and another one, and it's just what it is. When I see somebody that's, I'm not talking about just a little over, but like massively overweight, I automatically judge them as like they don't have any self-control over themselves.
Right.
They just want to sit down and eat all the time. And then especially,
that's so unfair.
It is. And then if they're walking through the store and I look in a basket, like, man, you don't need those donuts. They could be buying them for a party.
And it's none of your damn business.
Right, I know. But it just, I'm just saying, those are some of the ones that come to surface for me.
Well, the first one that comes to surface for me is, if I'm watching Family Feud, if I'm watching Family Feud,
you rooting for the black family.
I'm rooting for the damn black family.
Even if I'm the white guy on the other team,
if you white, and look, and that's my other bias. I don't give a damn if Scott came to me and said, Colin, I killed 2 people, and I don't know what to do, and I would be like, I got the shovel if you got the lime. I mean, I'm ride or die with Scott. You know, that's just it. And whether that's right or wrong, that's my brother, and I'm going to ride or die with him. Is that the right thing to do? Absolutely not. But that's just what it is. I love my brother, and I'm going to ride with him. I'm going to be unconsciously biased. But on Family Feud, why do I cheer? Man, that was a really nice white family on the other day. I was just like, and there was this one black guy had the cornrows and the grill.
Straight ghetto.
And whatever. I was like, black. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Man. It is.
But it is what it is, and I don't make excuses for that. It's just I'm that way in that realm, and I actually try to like be conscious of it and evaluate myself in it, but that instinct in me and that feeling in me, it's more than gravitates toward that. It's just like I'm compelled. So right now all I can do is keep an eye on it, and maybe someday I can transcend it, but I don't think it's hurting.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I hope to be able to transcend it too, but it's so deeply rooted, and it's an immediate thing. Okay, it's like this. It's like we've talked about this in the past, the fight or flight. My kids know, and I would never intentionally, but they know if they jump out and scare me, they need to have distance. Because my immediate thing is defend myself.
Right.
I don't have the flight thing right away. I have the fight right away. Mm-hmm. It's just, I can't change it. My wife has said over and over, well, I was like, no, that's how I've always been. Well, it's the same thing, and I'm not making an excuse for my unconscious bias, but I say that to say this. That's my immediate thought that comes to mind. Right. How can I recondition and change that? I don't know. That's something that I can work on and grow. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I recognize it. I mean, every time I see that plate, I was like, I know what I'm thinking. I'm having that battle in my mind before I even look at the occupant.
Well, the why for me, the why I want to at least be aware of it, even if there's nothing I can do immediately, because this is a deep-rooted, subconscious desire to think a certain way. When you're aware of it and you hold yourself accountable, what you're basically doing is you are giving yourself an opportunity to look at the details in a situation that you may need to look at the details. Like, there might be something that happens with someone you really believe in, like someone who's running for office. They might say something, many things that you agree with, but if they say something you don't agree with and you're unconsciously biased, you might eliminate that detail just to make them right. And that's something I don't want to do. So at least if I look at the black family and just like, you know what, man, come on, man. You know you're cheering for the black family. I'm just like, okay, I'm cheering for the black family and I'm aware of it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what is. That is what's true. I think that way and I'm doing it. Maybe in a situation I can translate that over into, damn, I really don't like that you said that, my favorite runner.
Yeah.
Shit. Why did you do that? And then hold myself accountable and be like, okay, this is very uncomfortable, but those details are there, and I've got to acknowledge the fact that you said something dumb, someone I love and wanted to root for right now.
Yeah, well, and, you know, I think about all the unconscious biases that people have assimilated into their lives. Like, you know, you hear, I mean, all the things that we talk about, like, hire a good Hispanic person, man. They'll work. You know, all those kind of things.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That you automatically think, or if you see one that's in construction clothes, you just automatically assume they're digging ditches.
That's a hard worker.
But they could be, they're a hard worker, and they just dig ditches. What you come to find out is he actually owns the company, and, you know, he just got out there that day because he was whatever.
Right.
So we're not only have the unconscious bias that many times is incorrect, but also you're passing judgment on somebody before you even talked to them. So,
well, golly, you could tell we are just so excited to be talking on the air. It's been 2 months. But Mike Tyson, he said in an interview that I was just watching last night, I think it was, this interviewer was like, so when you said that you wanted to smash his nose into his brain and kill him, and you wouldn't be satisfied until you killed this guy. You would not feel like you won this fight until you killed this guy. How do you feel about that?
He goes, what the hell is you talking about? What did I feel? I was 20 years old. I'm 43 years old, man. I've grown, I've moved. I don't know what that meant as a 20-year-old. I was just talking. Now, my life was under a microscope.
yeah.
My life is under a microscope. Now, if we put your life under a microscope and picked out one little detail and what did this mean, what the hell could you say about it? Man,
he was getting upset. He was like holding the guy accountable for, you know, making a statement that wasn't current. It wasn't relevant, you know. So that's that guy's unconscious bias, judging his whole entire life over a 20-year-old statement. How many dumb things did you say back then?
Yeah.
I don't even want to start counting.
Well, when you said accountable, I said, in my mind, I heard accountable because he chewed on
He will bite your damn ear. I'm judging it. I'm biased. I'm not going to hug this man.
Yeah.
But come on, man. He will bite your damn ear.
He'll bite your damn ear.
Twice on one side and once on the other.
So John.
Poor Holyfield.
John Scott says, "You're the man, brother." That was a comment he made. Let's see. Wade, read some of these. He's, you know, about time you're back. Damn meat eaters, because he knows I'm vegan. So he knows that's probably one of my unconscious bias. I see somebody meat, I'm like,
oh, yeah.
You know, so stereotypes. Here's something I wrote down. Let's see. So Wade says, some things you say do stick with you forever, so it seems. It's true. And I think that's part of the condition. You've hypnotized yourself.
Absolutely.
Right. So how do we...
Whatever you do, it's something you get better and better at.
How do we navigate that and change that? It takes time, you know.
Well, you have to just acknowledge it.
Well, first, the acknowledgement and recognition, and then wanting to make that change, you know, put in the work. Because it is work. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of effort, you know what I mean? So
if
anyway,
you're aware of it, that's a massive start.
So stereotypes. I wrote down some things about just stereotypes. Some are true, many are not, and almost all are incomplete. You never get the full story. What do you think about that?
I feel that no matter what you're talking about, you have a opinion on it. So it's going to be incomplete as long as there's not another person involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even when we talk about things, I'll have an opinion on it, and you'll have an opinion on it, and we'll be in an agreement, but yours is just slightly off from what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means your right and my right don't match. You know what I'm saying? What's right for me and what's right for you doesn't match. So our bias it's going to evolve and devolve based on our own approach. You know what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying. And then also, we think about, here's something else that I thought about too, is with like I talked about how we just automatically look at a Hispanic person, oh, they're a hard worker, they must be in construction.
Right.
So there's a phenomena that occurs called stereotype threat.
Right.
Okay, and what that simply means is you run the risk of underperforming because of a stereotype people hold of your group.
Oh, wow.
So you run the risk of underperforming because of a stereotype people hold of your group. So in a setting of, let's say, where, like that example I gave of Hispanics being construction workers and whatnot, that's what we view them as. If you're aspiring to be something greater than that, they choose not to unconsciously because they're trying to uphold the stereotype threat that is presented to them. So in any case, it's just a phenomena that occurs that people don't realize that's happening to them. There's also a study that was done, the implicit association test. It's called the IAT test, the implicit association test. And here's what that is. Okay, this was a huge test that they've done over time. So there were 2 police chief resumes. What they did is they submitted fake resumes to real companies,
I was about to speak on that.
So 2 police chief resumes, both men. Okay, so we're going to use that scenario first. Both were men. One had advanced degrees in police science and all these things that would tie into him being a great police chief. The other was just straight street smarts. Most of the people in the group, over half, chose the one with all the advanced degrees. And they asked him, said, why did you choose him? Well, street smarts is important, but we really want somebody that's really applied themselves, that has gone through the schooling and has all the knowledge they need about police science. That makes a good police chief. So what they did then is they took the same resumes and they changed the man with the advanced degrees to a woman's name, and left one of the men with the street smarts. Submitted the same things in, gave it to groups of people to analyze. They had them choose. Who do you choose? We choose the guy with street smarts. Why do you choose him? Because he's been there. He's been on the front line. That's what's more important about a police chief. So the unconscious bias was they saw a female name and thought, because law enforcement is predominantly male driven, they thought, well, God, a female is not capable of being a police chief because she doesn't understand, right? So what they're saying is that the unconscious bias of those people looking at that preferred a specific gender to perform the job. Same thing occurred when they took traditionally Caucasian names, John, Mark, Sam, whatever, and then replace those with LaToya, Jermaine.
Right.
They found that the traditionally African-American names would have to submit twice as many applications to get an interview as opposed to same schooling and everything,
Right.
As the traditional Caucasian names.
The statistics on another test that they did just like that, or a survey that they did just like that, they use the ratio of black, white, women, and men for a survey using a black example and a white example, male, all the same credentials. The percentage all the way across the board was higher for the white man, okay? And I'm not trying to be all pro-black or anything like that. These are just details.
Yeah.
But the weird thing about that is the unconscious bias for the black community was higher for the white man. So with all the details of history, you know, with the slavery and then Jim Crow and blah, 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 all the way down the line, a lot of that could be, you know, the news putting certain images and this and that and the other, you have a inferior complex. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that unconscious bias for me was weird because, again, I'm rooting for the black family on Family Feud. But the story that I've shared on here before, my great-grandmother, who I think was one of the most intelligent people in the world, the first example of unconscious bias for me was the story I shared on here one time when the Ku Klux Klan went into a home and pulled out an interracial couple, whipped her in front of everybody, and hung him off the Carthage Bridge. And this was within my great grandmother's lifetime, which was 1911 to 2010. So 99 years, somewhere in the middle there. She never told me what year it was, but the Klan went in there and did that, and her statement was, well, next time they'll mind what the rules are.
Basically,
they knew better.
He got what he deserved, kind of thing.
Right. Not, oh my God, why did they do that? But no, they knew better than that.
So I want to clarify, and I know you said it, and I'm not trying to re-speak what you said, but I want to clarify that because I think that's important that you say. And again, this is that stereotype threat is what I'm talking about. You talked about how they did these surveys and they put out a black and white, and most people chose the white. And the vast majority of the black people chose the white guy over the black guy. And because of the whatever it is, like you said, the media and all that kind of stuff. So although you would think going in that there's no way, you know, they're totally going to pick the black people are going to pick the black guy, but they still overwhelmingly pick the white guy because of the stereotype threat.
And don't quote me on this, but I think the black guy had more credentials. But you know, I think the statement was that he was better qualified. You know, he has, you know, more whatever. You know.
No, I think you're exactly right.
I can't remember exactly. I'm going off the dome. I don't write shit down.
No,
guys.
I think you're right. But you know, a lot of this, you know, comes into play. Like I think about when companies are hiring people, and you know, the unconscious bias really comes in. You think about being an HR manager, and you may have an idea of what you may have the role of the job that you've submitted out to the public to apply for defined.
Tell the story, the details in the story, if you can. I don't know if you could do this on the air, about the conversation that you and your wife had, where she had a similar situation. Can you tell?
I can't.
You can't do that, can you?
I'm not sure, and I'd have to try to recall the details. I don't want to ramble.
Right.
And if you remember some of it, tell me. It may.
I wouldn't feel comfortable to share it because I don't know if it's. She'd be like, I don't want people to know that shit. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so what I, you know, so an HR manager puts a job out there and they have it clearly defined what they want. What Google and I want to say it was Google, and maybe Apple did this as well. They started doing this I guess study as far as when you submit your resume in, don't put your address, don't put your name, don't put anything that's going to let me know what gender you are, where you're from, or where you went to school. I don't care about your education. Just put your qualifications that match this job. And what they found is they get better people that way because we all have our unconscious bias. 10 resumes come in and Shamika, Jermaine, whatever. And if I'm a white dude that, you know, has never been exposed to the African American, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not comfortable with that. But James, John, and Sally come in. Well, let's look at those and bring them in.
Right.
So what I wrote down is if you actually articulate what you want before looking at gender, race, etc., you make unbiased decisions. We have to articulate our expectations.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I would be curious to see. I would like to see some of these larger companies pave the way. Like I could see Virgin doing that. God, what's his name? Richard Branson. Because he's so progressive with the way he hires and the way his employees work and all this kind of stuff. I would like to see one of these large companies do that. You know, really have our online submission is this. You make it to where we don't know what your gender is. We make it to know we don't know what your background is, you know, as far as what color your skin is or where you went to school. But it's really solely on, can you do this job? Can you perform the function of this job?
Right.
And I think you would see companies really blossom and grow. And then it would give opportunities to people that deserve the opportunities because they're
it's based
qualified.
It's based on their talents. It's based on the details of their talents, not the way you make me feel about the presentation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These are your talents. I don't give a damn about your charm. I don't give a damn about your color, your eyes, none of that.
So something about, and Wade is saying there's something wrong with the video. It still shows live here. I don't know. Tell me, Wade, again, if there's still problems. It shows us being live. It could be a hiccup on your end. I'm not sure.
I hope it is, Wade.
Yeah, just let us know. I mean, it shows us still streaming here and also on the camera. But what was I going to say? Go on, because this thought will come back to me. It's something that I wanted to tag on to your thought here.
Well, the major thing that I feel we need to do is you got your thought?
Yeah, go ahead.
The major thing I need to do, I feel that we need to do, is ask ourselves, what can we do? What can we do to hold ourselves accountable for being unconsciously biased? All right. So I came up with four things. One, deliberately slow down before you make your decision. You know what I'm saying, Scott?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, slow down, and instead of just emotionally getting involved in your answer, just sit back and kind of really evaluate where you stand before you start, and then get into the details and then make your statement. You know what I'm saying? So I don't do that a lot. Like, I'll just put myself out there, and now I've got two things I've got to do. I've got to hold myself accountable for the dumb statement I made, and then I've got to own the shit that I just said. So my ego takes two hits, and I got to be uncomfortable twice. And, you know, one of the reasons we're unconsciously biased is because we're kind of trying to take a shortcut to an answer using our feelings, our instincts, right? Number two, reconsider reasons for the decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, really take a look at why you're feeling that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, my big mama, she didn't really, invest in a moment to say, you know what, I don't agree with what happened here. Because she was unconsciously biased about a mixed couple being together in the first place. So her saying that, you know, they should have listened to the Klan was kind of like she was invested in the dysfunctional viewpoint with the Klan, just like, I don't feel like a white woman should wear a black man either. You know what I mean? So it's God, that's uncomfortable to be like, wow, maybe I'm flawed here. You know, one extreme to I don't think you should live, to I just don't think y'all should be together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that's where a lot of us fall, is just with my big mama a little bit. And number three, question, here's where we were just now, question cultural stereotypes. Question social stereotypes. Cultural stereotypes. When you decide to question those things, like that Mexican's probably a hard worker, or that woman is probably weak, or, you know what I'm saying? When you start to invest in some of those viewpoints, it's a stereotype. Where's the evidence for that person? You haven't done your due diligence.
Right.
It's unfair to you to go any further, and it's unfair for them because they're the ones that are actually, you know, the victim of your unconscious bias in that moment. And then this is the other part, and this is where you lose friends, and this is where your inner circle starts to bend and shape. Because if other people don't do this last step, this fourth step, they're going to exile you. So the other one is holding each other accountable for your unconscious bias.
Yeah.
We need to put up banners. We need to put it out there. Careful, unconscious bias here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know in advance that you are in a dangerous area, you know what I'm saying? Like, to this day, as a black man, I can't go to Pulaski. To this day, as a Jew, you can't go to certain areas. To this day, as a Arab, you can't go to certain areas. If you unconsciously make decisions based on your unconscious bias, what you're doing is you are eliminating an opportunity for a rational viewpoint, a rational solution, right?
That's that stereotype thread as well, tying into that.
Yeah, all of it. All four of those. I love fours, by the way, lately. The four agreements, man, that saves me from so much of the unconscious bias. And I'm not going to even mention one of them. You guys, if you get an opportunity, go take a look at that. Look up all this stuff, because, like I said, I'm coming off the dome on some of it. So I want to be held accountable. I'm going to put myself out there and give you an opportunity to correct me. I gave you some of my unconscious bias. I'm going to be honest. I didn't give you some of the ones that would really put myself out there. I'm going to work on it.
Well, and I think, too, is, like Mike Tyson said, we are vulnerable here. We put ourselves out there to be scrutinized.
Right.
We know that. We know what we signed up for when we decided to launch this show.
Mm-hmm.
We know that there are going to be people that's going to disagree and send us hate mail, whatever, but we're okay with that, because part of this whole process for us in our own personal evolution is to do these kind of things. I mean, we've said it from the very beginning. These shows, more than anything, I mean, we're glad that people tune in and it's entertainment for people, but more than anything, it's a therapy session for us.
It's therapy. I am going to share one, by the way, that's super uncomfortable for me, but go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, you know how they say you never get a second chance to make a first impression? That stupid saying, we have so many of those, these dumb sayings that we subscribe to. It's unfair. And that's, again, your unconscious biasy coming in and making a judgment on somebody. We know from studies that it takes 15 to 30 minutes to really get to know somebody if they're really somebody you're going to like and jive with. So your first impression is wrong. It's lying to you.
Exactly.
It's lying to you.
Right.
You're allowing your first impression, your unconscious bias, to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't given yourself a chance to get to know that person to see if they can add value to your life. The first 30 seconds does nothing for you. You haven't gotten past the
role that they play.
Yeah, because everybody does it, because you're like, hey, what do I do? We don't show, I mean, as transparency, we don't show up to every conversation and go like, here I am. It's a thing. Hey, okay, let me fill this out, see if it's somebody I'm willing to accept into my realm, because not everybody gets to be here.
Exactly.
Not everybody gets to be here. You have to earn this spot by me, right? So if you falsely judge me on a first impression, one, you're pushed away, you're not here. Or if you do come back and say, I didn't give you a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've spent time with you, damn, what was I about to pass up?
Right.
And I allow other people that too. I have found out in my life, especially now being 45 years old, there are people that I have been friends with for years.
Right.
And I thought about this the other day. I tend to, Colin, you know me, I tend to be very accommodating and help people that are close to me. And I want to always say yes.
Right.
I thought about this one friend I know for you, and I know they don't listen to the show. Never listened to one episode. And we're so-called have been friends for all these years.
Right.
This motherfucker only calls or texts me when they need something.
Right.
Never to call like how we do. Hey, how's your day going? Cool. Let's catch up later.
Right.
It's always at a need for something. So I've decided to, this is an evolution of things that I've been deciding for quite some time, is really try to forge relationships with those people that are interesting to me or show interest towards me, as far as somebody that I may not have normally grooved with, and allow myself to get past the first 15 to 30 minutes.
Right.
So I can find out if I really truly like, not let my unconscious bias push them away, because I may find out, damn, these people are worthy to be in my circle.
Right. Right.
And close to me.
Right.
So, anyway, I know I kind of rambled there, but I know you want to add something. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we can't allow our unconscious bias to lie to us.
Okay, like just now, unconscious bias, I want to agree with Scott, but I don't agree with you on all that statement. You know what I'm saying? You know, and without going into details to the exact things that I'm talking about, we don't agree 100% on every single thing, but I do agree that you do need to purge people out of your life.
Yes.
I mean, there's a song by Kendrick Lamar. There's a statement in there that he says, I don't know if it's the hook or if it's just in the song, but it says, "Don't tell a lie on me, and I won't tell the truth on you."
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that will slander you,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like shine in your face and then slaughter you behind your back. If you discover this, it's nothing to go to them and address. It's for you to purge them out of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? So your unconscious bias would be, you know, oh my God, I'm going to go and confront them. I'm going to fix this. No, just purge them out.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do, whatever your truth is. When I say I don't agree with Scott, that means my truth doesn't match with his truth. You are allowed to be wherever you are in your truth. If I can't deal with you taking a feather, a pillow that has feathers in it, and it just disgusts me, that's my truth. Yeah. So if you have a feather pillow, I got to purge your ass out. You know what I'm saying? So
well, then also too, you think about that is this happened a while back with somebody that you and I both know, and they were like, "Oh, I was such a fan. I don't understand why you blocked and put me out." It's like, God, it. And I didn't have to explain myself. I don't feel like I need to, but you're bringing such a negative energy all the time. It's time to put you away. I can't have that. And I will spend more time. I need to focus on blocking and putting you out and moving on to the next thing, instead of putting my energy explaining to you why. If you can't recognize why and you wonder why you're in this whatever, that's not my problem. You're a grown-up. You need to figure out how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, life is, this is one of those sayings, life is very short.
Right.
When you really think about it, it speeds by.
Right.
I mean, I felt like I was just 25 not long ago. I'm 45 now. And it's we've hit this before. Just because people are family doesn't mean that you have to spend time with them. If you wouldn't spend time with them outside of the family circumstances, if you wouldn't hang with them and why force yourself to be in a situation that's not comfortable, that's not good for you, helping you grow? And you talk about purging people. I purge people because they're no longer trying to evolve or they're not trying to better themselves, even if I've tried to help them and give them the tools to do so.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's not always them, right?
No, I agree. Yes,
okay.
I agree. Yeah,
right. It's not always exactly
my discrepancy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not always that other person. You know, I had to reel that nigga in, man. He was running off down the road.
No, I'm just being more vulnerable. I mean,
no, I get it.
Because we're talking about unconscious bias, and we've exposed some things.
You're talking about specific people in this moment that actually needed to be purged.
That were toxic.
But it's not always a toxic person that needs to be purged.
Exactly. It could be it could be me. Hey, I'm not ready. Okay, you're on we talk about how
I don't want to be friends with Dalai Lama.
Exactly, because you're on a much higher plane than I am right now. It's too much for me.
Right.
So I can't. This is literally that statement. It's not you. It truly is me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then, like you say, there are those that aren't really toxic anymore, but you've outgrown them.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like they have the mentality of a 21-year-old still.
Right.
And, hey, I'm trying to be here, and I'm not. A relationship where it's a flow.
Right.
All the time.
Right.
And I feel like you're taking the whole time. I still love you.
Right.
Let me try to give you some tools. I'm here for you, but hey, we're not side to side right now.
Right.
So,
right.
Anyway, yeah, it's many times it's my discrepancy.
Right. More
But-
times than not, it's my discrepancy for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Because otherwise, why would there be a reason for me to have personal development in my life? Why would personal development even exist?
You wouldn't need it.
You know what I'm saying? Why would you need to problem solve if you've already arrived?
Right.
But if that were the case, if you didn't have any problems and you didn't have anything to solve and you didn't have anything to apply, you would have nowhere to go. You would get bored, and then that boredom, in a sense, would be no growth,
Yeah.
and in a sense would be hell on earth.
Well, we need
Hell
growth.
on earth.
And the funny thing is we're going back to this. We talk about the toxic people. It's funny. They will allow my discrepancies to show up, and it gives me an opportunity to look at something that I may not have really noticed or have in the past, but really focus on and say, I need to fix that.
Right.
But part of fixing that is one, getting them out, and then recognizing, okay, now
Ooh, this had this effect on me. What equation could I apply to this problem?
exactly, and then also it
This is
allows
my
me
homework.
it allows me to identify those same type of people that I want to allow to be here now.
Right.
You know, so it is a learning thing. It may be frustrating and difficult at that time, but I always try to look at any situation, and I tell this to the kids all the time. You know, when we have conversations about, but she did this, or this happened. Say, okay, but what did you get from it that's going to help you be better or grow? You know, as a person, you know, through that, what did you learn from that? Because
Right.
no matter what it is, even if it's a small, minute thing, you can learn something from it. right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and again, that's common sense, but I think it's important to kind of state.
It really isn't common sense because it's unconscious. You know what I'm saying? So you've got to really go past your common sense and get into the details. You know, okay, the detail is this. I feel this way about it. Yay!
Yeah.
But the details of this, oh man. So now I got to make my assessment based on the details, not on the yay. And this is one of the last statements I want to make on this because I want to be a little bit vulnerable here. I put a post up about 3 years ago. It was about almost 4 years ago that I started putting posts up and just putting myself out there. It's one of those personal development things, you know, where you allow people to kind of take your idea and get what you were trying to say and then put their own spin on it, and it really makes you feel vulnerable. And those moments that you allow yourself to be vulnerable, it's just like that shower, that cold shower. It's you saying yes to something that you're trying to run from. And the more often you do that, the more you say yes, the more you put yourself out there for everything, whether it be an opportunity, XYZ. So I put something out there I didn't want to put out there because I am a man. It was about the way women are exploited by beta men. Okay? Beta men are alpha males in disguise. And an alpha male is very appealing because they don't give a fuck. They just look at the details and they make an assessment based on what it is. If a man looks at you and you look back at him, he understands, hey, you know, he's hot. You better not go fuck him. I mean, if you do, I'm going to leave you. But, you know, it's like you look at a man, I'm going to look at a woman, this and that, but we're going to act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to interact with each other with respect and with our vow intact. Whatever our vow is, it's unspoken, but we're transparent with each other and blah, 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 blah. And if those vows were ever broken in a strenuous way, it would rift us. It hasn't happened. There's no evidence of that, but everybody has a limit of what they're going to allow to happen in their life. So if the evidence is this beta is an alpha in disguise, he's going to hold you accountable for what? Not his strength, but his insecurity. Don't look at him because I can't handle it. Don't do this because I can't handle it. You better cook and clean and all these things because I said so, not because it's a rational viewpoint. So if a woman said that, you could hear it. But if a man says that, a man shouldn't say it. So I had this debate with a feminist that said, yes, those were true viewpoints, but you shouldn't say it because you're a man, and we've heard that enough. That would be like me saying, okay, the rational viewpoint is owned by a specific person saying it.
Yeah.
So if a white person is saying something about the evidence of certain things that's happened in history, I couldn't hear it because it wasn't Martin Luther King saying it.
Right.
And if a Jewish viewpoint was stated by XYZ, this person over here that's a Christian wouldn't be able to. That is the most ridiculous, unconscious bias that we could inherit to. Trying to live up to a label, trying to live up to being I'm black or I'm Jew or I am a feminist or boom, 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 boom. What are the details? Mm-hmm. The details are we agree. So why don't you just shut the fuck up and let it be said?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Well, it's like, we have people saying and we're not bringing politics into this at all, but I say this. People say, well, if you didn't vote, you don't have an opinion. No, I did give you my opinion by not voting, and I can still state my disagreement with it. My disagreement with this administration, that administration, whatever, is I didn't vote because nobody was worthy enough for me to vote for. And you can't tell me, you can't make that decision for me.
Right.
To have who made you the authority on it.
Right.
And then also too, the whole we had a whole episode talking about the whole women's march thing after Trump was elected and how amazing that was and how it started from a lady in Hawaii just made a post and it spread all across the world. Mm-hmm. And because it wasn't just about opposing Trump, it was his views and other views that finally said, hey, we've been oppressed for so long. This is our chance to really stand up. But then the opposite side of that occurred. You'd have men making comments about what they thought the movement was. Now, some obviously not fair, but like if I had an opinion, if I said, I think it's great because they're standing up for this, this, and this, and it was actually in alignment with what they were saying.
Right.
You can't say that. You're not a woman. You can't. But I live with a woman. I was raised by women. And I've studied this. I can say it because this is what you guys are saying that it means. And it does mean something to me because I have a wife and a daughter. It affects me personally, too. So I can have that opinion just because it's not presented, just because I'm not a female. My opinion is valid as well. So, or I'm delivering it, it's valid as well.
Right.
Just because I'm not, like you just said, a Christian delivering something Jewish, well, you're not valid because you're not Jewish. You don't understand that.
Right.
That's ridiculous,
The funniest thing, we're probably running out of time here, but the funniest thing is during the Black Lives Matter, the unconscious bias during that movement was astronomical. And there were things that happened that were violent in the movement and just pockets. And people will be like, "Oh my God, that's crazy," and it means this, and it means that. Saying that Black Lives Matter for most people just meant they matter too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But regardless of that viewpoint, within the Black Lives Matters, there was a lot of the movements where white people would go and support. Yeah. And they would have discrimination against them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have...
Well, you're not black, so you don't understand.
Well, that's the craziest thing. Yeah. So you have people like in the rap community. You have all this rap that's saying, hey, look, this is what we do and this is what we mean. And you're trying to convince someone. And then when someone is convinced or already thinks that, they come in and then they get labels like wigger and... Right. They get alienated. And everybody knows that Eminem is the top 10 that has ever done rap. Right. Rap has only been around for like 40 years.
Yeah. Since the 70s. Sugar Hill Gang, those people. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like when I was born. So it's like 45 years it's been around. So a top 10, there could probably be a white person in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there most definitely is. Eminem would have to be one of those.
Well, okay. Good. You talk about that. Great example. One of the top rock artists all times, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, so when you stop just applying the stereotypes just based on what the package they are delivered to.
Right. But the problem is when you don't even agree with your non-bias when you convince someone. Like, I'm agreeing with you, feminists.
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me right now?
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be the one saying it.
You're preaching to the wrong person. I'm on your side.
I'm just like, there was several people that text me that were in abusive relationships that were just like thanking me for giving them another viewpoint. Another unconscious bias. And it's not just because I'm male, but as a society, look it up, please. People are unconsciously biased to the male voice.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm on the receiving side. I'm not on the receiving side of there's white privilege.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if I'm white, I'm going to be happy that I'm going to be able to get the certain circumstance I want because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not proud of it, but I'm not going to be like, well, I'm white, I'm not going to do this thing.
Mm.
If I go in a black area and you white, I'm going to be like, man, maybe I'll see you later. I still want to go over there and have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is what it is. What are the details? And then we can grow.
Mm-hmm. No, I you're totally, again, speaking to the choir. I'm on your side, brother.
No, you are white. You can't agree with me right now. You know what you need to do? You need to go ahead and you need to tell somebody black and have them come over and say what you just said to me.
What I think is funny about it too, and Wade is a great example of somebody that listens to the show. I mean, we both, went to the same school, and predominantly most of our friends were black, right? And so, and he can attest. I mean, he owns a business. Go support him. Look him up. He owns a business. It's a vape shop. Anyway,
where is
Nashville. It's in East Nashville. Just look him up. Wade, post it in the thread. Post your business in the thread in this video, and I'll put it in the show notes of the podcast. But many times when you support, you feel like you're having to explain yourself even further why you support. It's like, man, I'm here to support you. Can I hold a sign? Can I do something to help you?
Right.
I'm having to defend myself for coming to defend you. What the hell?
Oh, you're a wigger, man.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
You speak black. I grew up in East Nashville.
You want us to all be equal and get the same. Well, I'm here to try to help that, but then you're judging me for being.
You talk white.
Yeah.
I grew up in Carthage, Tennessee. We all speak the same. I couldn't tell you a white woman from my sister on the phone. They all sound like this. Well, the other day I went down there and I was going to go down to the river, but the river was full, so I went on over to the boat.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't tell who's black and who's white.
Well,
but it's like people, they relate diction to white. I'm just like, dude, relax. Like,
well, Josh Santos, the episode 8, he's talked about this in the past, how he'll talk to somebody on the phone. He's putting a deal together because he works on all these startup deals and some things going on. I wish we could mention some of the names.
Yeah, but he'll get mad at us.
Yeah, we can. he shared with us off topic, but he talks about how certain people are like, they'll meet him and see him. Well, first they think he's black. He's not even actually, he's not black, but they say, man, you don't talk like a black guy. He goes, well, one, I'm not black, and what does that mean?
Right.
Because I'm articulate and use my words correctly?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Right.
I mean,
right.
That's an unconscious bias, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, so
that people are comfortable to mention because it's common to say it.
Yeah. It blows my mind. And I think that, too, Wade says, Colin is from Kemp Country. Cool.
If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie, I don't want to go.
But yeah, I mean, that's a common one. I guess we could have talked about as well, but we just hit it. But so we're Colin, we're running, we're about an hour and 20 minutes in, which surprisingly, for being off for 2 months, I thought we'd be hitting 2 hours.
Oh my God,
right?
I thought it was 2 hours, or I was scared.
But I think, and I felt like I rambled a lot. I'm sorry, people.
Who cares?
But anyway, I'm not sure we say this every time. I'm not sure what the next episode is. It's just going to depend on what we talk about. And I'm going to try to get one in next week again to get back in the groove of things. I know there's some more points I wanted to hit here.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I did want to say is and this is kind of an unconscious bias, something that I want to tell people, a term that I want to hear people to stop using, rule of thumb. Rule of thumb dates back to a time where it used to be acceptable for a man to beat his wife if she didn't wash or do what he said. And the rule of thumb was, the law of the land was, if you could take a branch or anything, any object, as long as it was not as thick as your thumb, it was okay. It was a crime. So rule of thumb actually dates back to an old law about beating women. So that one really touches me. Having been raised by women, predominantly my father passed when I was 5 years old.
Raised by predominantly women.
So that really touched me, and people don't know. They don't understand, you know. So just be conscious of that, using that term. And 99% of the women you run across, they use it too. They don't know, but now you know. Right. So you don't have any longer. No longer can you use that. But anyway, Colin. So we don't have a guest. I'm glad, actually, and not to say this against our past guests. We love you. We want to have more guests on. We've been in talks and things going with a Grammy-winning artist. Right. I can't drop his name yet. Multiple Grammy-winning artist. Multiple Dove-winning artist. Songwriter. Right. I don't want to promise, because we've got an ex-Titan. We've got an ex-Baltimore Raven that we've had difficulty getting them scheduled because they're just busy, right? But anyway, I say that I love that our first episode back was just me and you, because this is how we started, baby. Yeah, this is how we started, but we will have guests, going forward.
Don't get nervous. We have it.
Yeah, don't worry, people. Don't know if the next episode is going to be that way. If it's us again, I'm totally cool with that. Right. So, in any case, we always give Colin the last word. So.
My last word is just like the whole show. It's therapeutic for me. It's therapeutic for you. And I'm just repeating your words. I'm not speaking for you. And when I share the last word, it's not me being preachy or teachy. I'm just speaking for my own experience mostly. And if it resonates with you, then run with it. It's there now. It's out there. But problems is not a problem. It's not a problem until it's a sin. Until you miss the point. A sin is missing the point. So no matter what opportunity or a problem that you have an opportunity to solve or apply an equation to potentially solve, that's a part of the process of your growth. It's not going to be comfortable, Scott. If you have mastered something, you're comfortable with it. So no matter what, whether it be an opportunity or it's something great, if it's love, whatever, it's going to be uncomfortable in that next chapter because you've been there yet. That's all. So if you are mastering being or mastering avoiding done is you're mastering saying no. So if you master saying no, you're saying no to applying the equation. If you don't apply equation, there's nothing to solve. So that problem isn't a problem, but now it's a sin. There's your problem. That's your hell. Yeah. You create your hell.
Yeah, and you think about the first time you do anything, how uncomfortable it is and how you're nervous, whatever it is, and then the next time you do it, you're like, damn, I'm glad I did. Like
we were giddy about today's show. Yeah. We were running around. I mean, he was in there. He had to take the dog out to pee. Boom, boom, boom. I was like, hurry up. I was so excited. But the first time we did this, my nose bled a little bit. My blood pressure was so high, and I was so nervous, and I didn't know what to do. I think I said 10,000 times. Like,
so that was the Exposing Real Estate show. You guys can still find that. You can see. I mean, because we talked a lot about this same. It was called Exposing Real Estate
and damn near anything else.
But we talked about damn near anything else. 99.9%.
Mostly. That's why we came to the show.
but our first episode was. I mean, it was and a lot of apologies for being.
Let me tell you something else. Hey Scott, you ready?
But what's funny is that's still one of the more popular shows that people like, and there's still some similarities of the DNA of that. It still runs through. Right. But it is what it is. But I want to say, I know I said last word, but I think this will tie it back up, and then whatever. I'm going to read the quote again because it really
read the quote, man.
It ties up the show. Mistakes are almost always of a sacred nature. Never try to correct them. On the contrary, rationalize them, understand them thoroughly. After that, it will be possible for you to sublimate them.
Problem solved.
That was Salvador Dali. So until next time, I'm your boy Scott.
It's Colin.
Out. Nice. And Facebook people, thank you so very much for tuning in. This one ran, of course, a little longer. Well, I'll say that. I mean, we run about an hour and a half anyway.
I don't think it was that long. It's been way longer. Like I thought there was gonna be a.
Wade says I had too much to say and can't type fast enough. Great show, guys. Thank you, Wade, very much. And
thank you, Wade.
we need to do this. You know, with the ability that we have now, with the next time we do the Be Live feed, we'll have them sit in and they can actually talk. We'll have them actually talk in at one point so they can be on the air with us too. Some may feel comfortable, some may not.
What do you mean talk?
So we can have them in a green room setting and say, "Hey, Wade, do you have a question?"
Oh, you mean?
No, they can
actually speak.
Yeah, actually speak. You know, they can
have.
Fuck
them.
So
you
anyway,
can't be on a damn show, Wade.
No, I love that. I love the idea of having the interaction like that. So that's something we'll explore, especially if we have a guest that they want to ask questions of.
Right,
you know,
right.
I
see what you're saying though. I think Sway in the morning.
Yeah,
he'll have people come on and ask questions. Kind of like a call in.
Yeah, just a quick call in. Like when we had Joe, that episode reached I think now 80-something thousand people.
What?
And yeah, and so that would have been a great one to. Because a lot of people have questions in because he, of his status and who he is.
Absolutely.
But Wade,
he's the GOAT.
Yeah. So Wade says, "I'll make you famous." so anyway, we're going to cut the Facebook feed. But until next time,
I'm on a rule of thumb. Wade's ass.
Yeah. So I think we'll probably do an episode next week as well. If not, it'd be the week after. But I'm really jonesed to do it next week.
We need to try to stay on it. Man.
I agree. So. Thank you, Facebook family, and we love you guys.
If you love you.
You can hop up.
Cut it off for your son. You see how he talks to me. You see, get your black hands up there and cut it off.